Thank you, Rob. The Trump administration hard at work assessing all options to make America safe again.
Now we are considering and pursuing all options. We are contemplating new and additional actions to ensure that our immigration system does not become a vehicle for admitting people into our country who are hostile to this nation and its values.
This as a new study reveals that since February 3rd, over 70% of the refugees who entered the U.S. were from the 7 suspect countries alone. So is the inclusive left putting our country at risk? That's the question. And here for a fair and balanced debate, former Ohio Senate Democrat Minority Leader Capri Cafaro and Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. Thank you both for joining us this morning. So let's take a second look at those countries involved in the ban. The 7 countries are Syria, Iraq, Somalia, Iran, Sudan, Yemen, and Libya. And Tammy, you know, 2 of those are major sponsors of worldwide terror. 5 are failed states. So is our country at risk?
Well, obviously, yes. I mean, this is the entire point of what this moratorium was supposed to do, which was be able to have us be able to assess who it was that's actually coming into the country. That's what we can't do is just with those 7 nations. Now, Iran also has a major counterfeiting operation that is state-sponsored, not just for American currency, which is why we've kept changing our currency, but also for identity papers. We also know that ISIS, with its control of Mosul, Raqqa, and large areas in Libya, have tens of thousands of blank passports, in addition to the machinery to create other identity papers. So when you're looking at, and this is what was fascinating to me just a couple weeks ago, was the realization that, according to the DHS, 60 to 100,000 visas have been issued for these 7 countries. And the question has to be, how could they have at all vetted that number of people to be able to allow them to come into this country?
Yeah, and Capri, when some of those countries willingly admit that they don't have the ability to vet people right now, should we wait for something to happen here before we take a pause and say, let's figure out how to keep this country safe?
Obviously, I don't think that's anyone's objective. Democrat and Republican alike, we all want to keep this nation safe. You know, if I really believed that this was some sort of a PC crusade, I would say so. I try to call it like I see it. You know, right now, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, they ruled unanimously for this stay, both Democratic and Republican appointees to the court. So in my view, I think we need to do something. We need to pursue a rewrite, and it sounds like the Trump administration is going to do that, a rewrite of this executive order that will actually hold up to the scrutiny of the co-equal branch of government in the judiciary.
But in the meantime, has our country been put at risk? Because when you take a look at the number of refugees that have been allowed to enter the country while all this has been going on, between February 3rd and February 11th alone, when the stay was put into place, it was 1,049 who have really basically been rushed in. Tammy?
Yeah, see, this is the problem, is that, of course, terrorism doesn't distinguish whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. And yet, just common sense tells you that when you have the Paris attacks, where you had false documents from individuals moving through the refugee stream, Al-Qaeda and ISIS saying they wanted to use refugee streams, the odds are, of course, that this is coming in. And that's why it's really nonsensical, because when the nation's in danger, all of us are at risk, and yet it seems like they want to do this just to harm the president, which makes really no sense.
Can I make one suggestion as well?
Word.
Sure. I mean, if we're going to be common sense about this, then if they're going to do a rewrite, they also need to include nations like the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia that have obvious ties to terror, including the 9/11 terror attacks.
But Capri, that's the difference. They have central governments that are functional, and we can vet them. That's the issue with this moratorium.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Capri. Thank you, Tammy. Appreciate you joining us.